Have you been wondering which vector is better in Escape from Tarkov? Maybe you're out on a budget and you're just trying to use a vector the cheapest that you can, or you're just out for 100% DPS, money is no object, you just want to put as much damage down as you can. Well, in this video, I'm going to break down each vector, the 45 and the 9mm variant, and talk about which one might be better suited for certain scenarios. I'm Jessekazam, and welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. If you like the video, think about dropping a like, maybe commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel. That stuff helps me out a ton. And I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So here we are. We've got the vectors. I did a quick video earlier just like breaking down the bare minimums of the vector. We had one. I hadn't even unlocked the 45 variant at that point. We were just super excited to have the vector in game. So just as a really brief kind of overview of their stats side by side, now that we've had some more time with them, we can start with price, of course. So they're both purchasable from Skier. At level 2 Skier, you can purchase a vector for 55K. Now notice they increased the price of these already, and I suspect that they will continue to adjust it. So these numbers take with a grain of salt. If you're watching this in a few weeks or months, definitely take a look in game. I believe this was 48K, so I think they did a 7K increase here. But you can buy the vector from level 2 Skier, which isn't too hard to get, the 9mm version, for 58K, 55K rather. And then the 45 variant is 59, just under 60K at level 3 Skier. So the price difference there is just a few thousand rubles. It's almost negligible when you're talking about building an entire kit. We can take a look at some of the stats of the guns side by side. Of course, the recoil isn't quite the same. The 45 variant does have a little bit more recoil, but remember, it's not always just about looking at these numbers. When you get into like the sub 40 range, the 35 to 24, there is very little felt difference. The 45 ACP vector still feels like a laser beam, and you can obviously attach a foregrip to make this a little bit better. So the recoil on the 9mm is a little bit better out of the box. The ergo on the 45 seems to be a little bit better out of the box, but they're pretty close. The real thing to notice here is the difference in caliber, 9mm versus 45 ACP, and the fire rate, which is 950 rounds per minute for the 9mm, which is very fast, and 1100 rounds per minute on the 45 vector, which is insane. I think this ties for the fastest shooting gun in the game. I could be wrong, but it's definitely up there. That is insanely high DPS, a lot of rounds per minute. So that is one of the biggest differences outside of their respective calibers. They both are pretty customizable. I'm going to end up doing a whole video on the UMP, but that's one of my frustrations with it. You can suppress them both. They come stock with all the rails, so you can put an optic, you can put a flashlight, you can put a foregrip, you can put all that on right away. And if you wanted to go crazy, you could come in here and put an adapter, and then put like the advanced buffer tube, and then put something like the precision on there, and an RK2, and now you've got a pretty insane vector. This is going to cost so much money. It gets the recoil of this down to 28. The 9mm version, if you do it this way with the RK2 and the precision, I'm pretty sure it gets down to 19 vertical recoil. Once again, it's not just about numbers, in my opinion. There's no reason to spend that money to go from 25 vertical recoil to 19 because it's already a laser beam. But if you want to, you can. But it's cool, even though I wouldn't necessarily do that, it's cool that they are modular. If you did want to put like an ergo stock on there because the recoil is so low, or on the 9mm version, that is something that's really cool. So I like that about the guns. They're pretty modular for being an SMG, right? It's not an AR. You're not replacing barrels and charging handles and everything. It's for an SMG, this is about as modular as you can get, and they're both the same. The other big difference here is going to be the magazine capacity. So if we link search here and we can look at all the magazines, you've got the 45 Glock mag, which holds 13 rounds and 1100 rounds per minute. 13 rounds is a joke. I mean, literally, that would be like a half a second until your mag is done. on full auto. You can buy as many as you want, which is nice, but those, man, you cannot miss your shots. You can't miss your shots. And then the other one is the 30 round mag, which you can only purchase. They're not expensive, $5K, but you can only purchase 3 at a time, which is kind of crazy because you are definitely going to need more than 3 mags if you're going to take this into a raid. I mean, even just a scav. If you run into a scav and miss a few of your shots and have to reload before you kill the scav, you have 2 mags almost empty. You only have 1 full one, and now you have to go to repacking. So, I mean, you can bring 3 and then a few 13 rounders or whatever, but there's not a lot of variation here. You got 30 rounders. You've got the 13 rounders. That's it. On the 9mm, because it just uses Glock mags, and we've had Glocks in the game for a really long time, you've got quite a few options. So you have the 17 rounders, you've got the 21 rounders, you've got the 33 rounders, and you've got the Glock 50 rounders. And all of these are relatively cheap. 75 euros isn't that bad. You can purchase euros if you want. The big sticks are nice as well. These are 3,400. You can buy 10 of these. They're 33 rounds instead of 30, which isn't that big of a difference. And they're cheap, 3,400. So magazine capacity, the 9mm Vector definitely takes the cake. Both of these guns are actually, I noticed in a different video, they are 2x3. Then you can fold it to a 2x2. You add the suppressor, it's a 2x4, and you add a high capacity magazine, and it's a 3x4. So these can, if you rip the suppressors off in the mags, these can go down to just 2x2 once you fold them. So they're small. They look really big because of the 50 rounders or the 30 rounders. But so those are like the base differences. They're pretty close in price. Magazines for each aren't insanely expensive, but the magazine capacity is a huge difference and the fire rate is a huge difference. And then lastly, you can suppress them both, which is nice. The Omega 45K, I believe this is the only suppressor you can get. It's about 30,000 rubles, which isn't insane for a suppressor, but you don't have a whole lot of options. It comes with that on there. You can replace it to a flash hider if you want, or you can replace it to the threaded and put the Omega 45 suppressor on there. That's it. Another thing that the 9mm has going for it is, once again, because it's using 9mm stuff and because we've had Glocks in the game for a long time, you can put just about any of the suppressors on it. The SRD, the rotor, the Osprey, and there's even a few more. You can do the Gemtech. Any of the ones that are going to fit any of the other 9mm guns, except for like specific suppressors like the MP5 SD or something like that, are going to fit on a 9mm Vector. So once again, you got a little bit more modularity there. Now we kind of get to the last piece before we can give opinions on which one is better or worse, which is the ammo. Because at the end of the day, if there's a huge divide in ammo, that's going to tell us a lot about these guns. Now, the 45, so this is a newer, a newer caliber to the game. We've had the 1911 in for a little bit, but now that the Vector's in, the 45 is definitely going to be seen a lot more. The 45, if we're talking about like ammo that you want to use, there's not a whole lot of options. So FMJ is going to be your second best at 23 pen and 69 damage. So we can, that's something that, and you can use the wiki or Veritas's Battle Buddy. I'll link the wiki down below, or the Battle Buddy app is a great way to do this. 23 pen for the FMJ isn't very good. Now, if you have to use it early game, it's very doable, especially like we said, because of the fire rate and early game. You know what I mean? For the first few weeks of the wipe, 23 pen is actually very doable, especially since you can shoot a bunch of it. If somebody doesn't have a face mask, you're actually going to shred it. It does 69 damage. But as we start to see people with higher and higher tier armor, class 4 armors are more common. Class 5 armors are purchasable from traders. Class 6 armors are dropping on stashes, and yeah, you're really going to struggle. It's cheap. You can buy it for $1, and you can buy as many as you want, which is nice. So if you get a hold of one of the 45s early, first few days of the wipe, or you don't have a whole lot leveled up here, you can absolutely rock these. Now, the AP ammo, which is right here, this is the good stuff for 45. Of course, you have other rounds, like you've got the rip rounds, which is great for leg meta. I'm not huge into leg meta. I'm more going for armor pen and damage. The AP rounds are really nice because they have 36 pen and 70 damage. So 36 pen is a big jump from 23. 36 means you're going to be shredding through class 4 reliably. And because of the fire rate on this thing, you're going to be shredding through class 5 pretty reliably as well. And it's got 70 damage, which is good because once again, what we have to remember about ammo is that you're trying to pen through the armor and then do damage to the thorax or whatever that armored part of your body is. So if it's got really high armor piercing capabilities, but really, really low damage, you're still going to feel like you have to put a ton of shots down range. So 70 damage is really good. So in my opinion, this is a really good round, especially when we compare it to the 9mm like AP variant, which is the 7N31. 7N31 has a little bit more pen, 39 to AP's 36, but it has less damage at 52 instead of 70. So in my opinion, these end up being really close together. 3 pen is going to make this a little bit harder to punch through like those uppers, like class 5s. Like class 4 is going to be really easy with this, especially because of fire rate. It is going to make it a tiny bit harder. This is going to do a little bit better, but once again, once this penetrates through, it's going to be doing less damage per shot, whereas this is going to be doing a significant amount more. Armor damage is another one where the armor damage of the AP is a little bit different. So it's got 7N31 is 55 armor damage, and I believe that the AP has 43. So it's a complicated web. If you're not too familiar with Tarkov ballistics, there's a few videos out there. Veritas has a really, really good one. But at the end of the day, suffice it to say that they're pretty closely linked in my opinion. The only thing is that the 45 AP is really the only round that you can use once used super effectively. Of course, you can kill anybody with any round, but you know what I mean? The only one you're going to really want to go for mid to late wipe, whereas especially mid wipe, as we're going to be entering into in the next few weeks, where a lot of players are starting to really easily get class 4 and 5 armor, is that the AP round here for 9mm is very decent mid wipe. I was using this late wipe just to prove a point last wipe. I mean, like meta chads, you know, fast MT visor, the chops, the slicks, the everything. I was using this to eliminate them. It's harder, but I was doing it to prove a point. This has 30 pen and 52 damage. So the 30 pen there, when you're going for like, when I was using an endgame, it was face shields. 30 pen can get through a fast MT face shield, so I'm going for the face. But mid wipe, once again, this is pretty usable round. So what's nice is that there's an alternative here. Now we'll quickly go through the prices. One of the things that's really good about the 45 AP round is that it says it's $3. It's actually $2.1 per round. It just rounds up, which is weird. And you can buy 200 of it. That's a decent amount. The AP variant, which the 45 AP is much better than the 9mm AP. 9mm is $4. It ends up being like really 3.6. And you can only buy 150. So you just kind of got to bear with Tarkov and the traders and all the weirdness. This is a better round and it's cheaper and you can buy more of it than this. And it's just weird. And then you can also buy the 7N31 from Prabor for 794 rubles. So that's the most expensive round and it sells out instantly. You can craft these. All of these ammos are probably going to sell out. In my opinion, you kind of try to go for those trader resets, stock up on them a little bit, and then when you have a decent amount of them, because especially with the 45 vector, you're going to need to stock up on mags, stock up on ammo, and then you can start running them. I've been trying to stock up the 45 AP as much as I can. I did a quick test in Battle Buddy, putting all 3 of these ammos up against a fresh Gen 4 assault. So a class 5 armor, with a decent amount of durability, 75 durability. And that's kind of like your pretty much end game. You know what I mean? Not even an end game. Not everybody's running slicks, but as we push towards the mid and end game, class 5 armors are going to be a little bit more common. So let's just basically worst case scenario it. The 45 AP round took 7 shots, before it went from a fresh durability down to a 90% chance to pen. So at that point, the armor is pretty much trashed, and your rounds are going to go through. It took 7 shots. Now, you've only got 30 shots in a mag, but it's one of those things where if you're hitting your shots, 7 shots is plenty. In one mag, you're going to decimate somebody in a Gen 4. The 7 and 31 with its 3 extra pen could do it in 5 shots. So it went from fresh durability to penning through 90 to 95% of the time in 5 shots. And then just as kind of like a meme, once again, to test, to show you that this isn't a terrible round, but it's not a great round, the AP took 9 shots. So only a 30 pen, it took 9 shots. Now remember, you can slap these with 50s. So 50 rounds, shooting 950 rounds per minute, 9 shots doesn't seem too bad to get through like a Gen 4. And that leads us to kind of the final thing here, which is if you're accurate, the burst damage here, which can be pretty insane. So at 1100 rounds per minute, this thing shoots its 30 round mag in just over 1.5 seconds. It's something like 1.6 seconds, and its 30 rounds are all down range, which means you're doing something in the neighborhood of 2100 flesh damage with the 45 AP, because each round has 70 damage. Now, that's assuming you're hitting every shot, of course, which we might miss, we might get shot, but the burst damage of this thing is insane. In 1.6 seconds, you're shooting 30 rounds, you're doing 2100 damage, and you only need 7 of those rounds to hit to decimate something like a Gen 4. It shoots really fast, and its damage is insane. Now, once again, the 9mm Vector shoots fast as well, but we're kind of gonna, for this experiment, kind of compare apples to apples with the 30 round mag shooting 950 rounds per minute. It's going to dump a 30 round mag in just over 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds. And because the 7 and 31 has a little bit less flesh damage, you're going to be doing around 1200 flesh damage. So it's going to take a little bit longer. You're doing a little bit less damage, but you've got more pen, and it only takes 5 of those shots to crush a Gen 4. And like we said, you do have the 50 rounders if you wanted to do that. So this all basically leads up to this, is that at the end of the day, I can't tell you which one is better or worse. You get to decide which one you like to use. If you want the better recoil, if you want the higher capacity mags, if you want the faster fire rate, it all comes down to your preference. But the burst damage, if you are out for just absolute destroying your targets, and if you've got really good aim that you know you can hit those shots, the 45 is probably going to drop these dudes faster. If you can keep on their head, that's plenty of damage and pen and everything to rock through Altons and Killa helmets if you can hit all your shots. They're absolute monsters. It's an absolute monster. But the 9mm affords you more flexibility. It affords you more of a mid-tier round, not just the end game round. It affords you more options for suppressing and putting things on. If you want to go with like a cheaper suppressor, it's got a little bit better recoil out of the gate, and it's a little bit cheaper. What will most likely happen for me is most of the time, 75% of the time that I use a Vector, it'll probably be a 9mm, because I don't want to worry about, do I have enough ammo? Do I have enough mags? The fact that you can only buy 3 mags is a huge turnoff for me. So stuff like that. But of course, I'm going to mess around with this as well. So that's kind of it. Those are the Vectors. So once again, I don't mean for these to be long-winded, but I just want to kind of carry through so that we can talk through like each of the respective differences, and then you can make a more informed decision. The budget here really doesn't play a huge factor because of how closely they are in price. You know what I mean? It's not a whole lot different. The difference is going to be if you're buying mags off the flea market or if you're buying ammo off the flea market. That's when one is really going to take over for budget. So those are kind of my thoughts on the Vectors. Hopefully this helped you break it down and then maybe got you excited to try out both and see which one you like better in Escape from Tarkov. Thanks as always for taking the time to check out this video. I really hope it helped. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel. That stuff helps me out a ton. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play with, check out our Discord. That link is down below as well. We've got a few thousand people that love to answer questions, help out with quests, or even just run some raids. So that's an awesome place to be. But thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.